properties. They're going to be down at the bottom here. And then also on the test, you'll have a word bank to choose from for your proofs. All right, you ready to get going here? Let's see what we got. So we're going to figure out how we can prove that x equals 13. So we'll get to that in a second. We've got to start with our given. Our given is QS is equal to 42. So we look at our diagram from Q to S. We've got an actual distance there. It's 42, whatever units we want to think of it as. And that's going to be our given statement. Now, when you start writing your own proofs, that very first statement is always going to be the given. So statement QS is 42. Our reasoning is simply just given. So you can fill in number 1 there is given. Of course, this thing doesn't want to correct. Oh, there it goes. Connecting. There it is, given. So we'll fill in that first one. Number 2. The statement that we are giving is that QR plus RS equals QS. QR plus QS equals, QR plus RS equals QS. So we're adding two things together to equal QS. So what property are we using in step 2? How do we look at that? We think we can segment addition property. Beautiful. We are adding 2 segments to equal a third segment. This one might look to us like, well, maybe we're doing a midpoint. But does R look like it's directly in between Q and S? No, and then somewhere in a given or some type of statement, we'd have to have that R is a midpoint. Then we'd set them equal to each other, but QR and RS are not equal to each other, and as McKenna said, they're being added, so we have the segment addition. And I'm not going to get hung up if you put theorem postulate behind your statement, so we're just going to have segment addition will be our proof for number 2. Now we take a look at number 3. So from number 2 to number 3, our QR changes to this, our RS changes to this, and our QS changes to 42. So we start replacing things. What property are we using when we replace things? Substitution. So now we're into that substitution stage. So we know that those are equal parts, so we can substitute out our names of our segment for their actual unknowns or their actual values. Now we start getting into the algebra. In our first step, we do have parentheses, x plus 3, but there's no distributive property or anything, so I can use the associative property and I can add up any 2 numbers I want first. So it looks like I added up x and 2x to make 3x. So what do we call that when we put together x and 2x, those variables? We put together those same x's. What do we call that step? Combining like terms. Thank you. Combine like terms would be our next step. Also, if you're just adding 2 constants together, just 2 normal numbers, you could say that's combining like terms, because numbers are like 2. You can add those together. Then we look from 4 to 5. So 3x plus 3 becomes just 3x, and the 42 goes down to 39. So what property are we using next? Subtraction. And lastly, our 3x equals 39 becomes x equals 13. So 3x was canceled out to x. 39 divides by 3 to get to 13. And that's going to be our division property. And that proves x is equal to 13. We started with our segment addition. We worked through all the way through our algebra steps, and we get to our correct conclusion. So you'll notice in these proofs, you do always get the answers. It's just how we get to that. We got to start to give our reasons, set up our problem to show, to get from a beginning to an end, and show those steps. Now 15 is very similar to this, except you're adding angles together. So you think we just use segment addition postulate. So in 15, what do you think you're going to use? The angle addition postulate. So you can use that to kind of get you started. So you can call it angle addition or just angle addition postulate. But that's going to be the step that you're using to start getting number 15 votes. So it's going to be very similar to this one. That's kind of the first time we're trying to have you do your own instead of just throwing it. All right. I'm going to let you be then, and I'll come around to check. I did put an answer key into the chapter review folder to check your work when you're done. And then tomorrow you'll be distant learning. The test will open at 8:55, and you'll have to join that Google Meet. So make sure that you do that, and we'll see you there tomorrow. Otherwise, the rest of the time is yours. Some of you have been turning in your work already. That's awesome. That's fine. You can turn it in early. But I'll be coming around to assist and help with anything that you need. But the rest of the time is yours.